Welcome to InTouch, dedicated to real estate professionals worldwide. We're here to educate you, entertain you, and empower you in all facets of real estate. Are you ready for the latest news, trends, and market updates? Then it's time to get in touch. Welcome to the show. Today we are discussing Rule 8 of the 31 rules in 7 steps to powerful paychecks. We find ourselves in step 2. Now, step 2 is so crucial for your success, and this is the follow-up. That's the name of step 2. Step 1 was the initial contact, that first impression, and step 2 is the second impression. That's where you follow up, and this is the challenge. This is a challenge for so many professionals. Why? Because you don't know what to say after you've already called them or touched them once and introduced your service. You're trying to figure out what's the appropriate rhythm and consistent method to the follow-up system. How many times do you call them within a week? We're going to cover all that today. And that's why we call today's rule, try again. Let's start with a biblical verse. Do all things without complaining and disputing. Now, you can fall victim to the negativity of the market. You can fall victim to the negativity of the economy, what's going on in your personal sales, so on and so forth. And getting up day after day with a positive attitude and prospecting and reaching back out and touching people, even when sometimes there's not the response on the timeline that you desire. That's where it can be tempting to complain. But I want to encourage you to look at this with fresh new eyes and fresh new vision, that you are simply reaching out to people, offering them something of value, and whether or not today's the day that they are ready to receive that offer, or it's in the future, you are simply presenting an opportunity. That's all you are doing. And they're adults. They can make a decision if they want to reach back out, contact you, and pursue what you're offering, but never take it personally. They're not rejecting you. If anything, they are simply rejecting what you are offering at the time you're offering. So let's dive right in. We start first with creating daily contact targets. How many people should you contact daily depends on your capacity and desire to generate new income. How much money do you want to make? It really comes down to this. It's that simple. It's how many people you're getting in front of. For me, the rule of thumb is at least 5 solid contacts, new contacts per day. Others have the capacity to talk to as many as 20 new people per day. The key is not to spread yourself thin, but to select the right relationships to pursue. This is where quality over quantity is important. So Gary, let's speak to this because you have a rhythm. You have a certain amount of people you're going to reach out to daily. What's your goal daily, and what's your capacity to reach out to people on a daily basis?
Well, Andrew, sometimes you just can't during a day reach maybe 20 people, right? But if I know and I have on my calendar that I'm going to a function or a get together on, let's say, Thursday, and I know that I'm going to see 50 people, well, I know I can stack it up there and that I will meet probably 50 people that I've either seen before or half of those that I haven't seen before. And I'm talking about an event or a get together of maybe something that you like to do, whatever it is. I try and schedule those in, and I usually have one of those about once a week. So I know I can stack a lot of people in, and I'll see 20 to 50 people at a certain event. So, maybe I don't get to talk to 5 to 10 people a day, but I know that I can stack it up and at least get belly to belly with somebody face to face, which I think is a little bit more important than the phone call and the texting. So I will kind of lead my week toward that event and be ready for it.
I love it. And what I love about it is you're setting realistic goals because you have to be honest with yourself. This is how you avoid burnout. Any unrealistic goal will just set you up for unsustainable results. So if you're somebody that knows you're not going to be able to go to a function once a week or contact 20 people, don't set that up for yourself. You don't want to set yourself up for disappointment. Now, there's a popular method to set goals. It's called the SMART method, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Whenever you're setting a goal, reference this acronym to help you pinpoint the precise way to get there. Again, the SMART method: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. This will help you. And manage your follow up frequency. In Rule 3, I described a contact pattern that a successful colleague and friend of mine developed, what I refer to as the 10 touch follow up rhythm method. It's the most simple and successful follow up method I have ever witnessed in the business world. If you are going to pursue people via phone, via text, social media, online, in the digital world, this is a very, very simple way to go about it, to remember where you're at with each contact. Now, at first glance, it may appear aggressive to contact someone 10 times in 10 days, but when handled professionally and respectfully, it has profound results. And as a refresher, the 10 touch follow up method gives you a simple way to follow up through 3 forms of communication to reach out to someone 10 total touches over that 10-day period. It provides you with the maximum opportunity to get in touch with someone using their preferred method of communication. The goal with the initial contact is not to annoy people, but to present yourself professionally in all 3 methods to figure out which method that individual prefers to communicate with. And the 3 methods I keep referencing: you have phone, you have text, and you have email. And you could even replace one of those with social media if you're doing any direct messaging or posting. But you can modify these 10 touches. The key is to stick to the multiple attempts on 3 different days. So if I'm going to reach out to somebody via phone, leave them a voicemail, I'm going to also send them a text either at the same time or an hour later, and then follow up with an email later that day. So that's really just one full contact, but it's 3 different methods to see which way they are going to respond. So let's revisit how this works exactly. If you're trying to build a new relationship with a prospective client, you'll start off by calling and leaving a voicemail. And if you're unable to reach them by phone, you could send an email introduction, then follow up with a text later that day, asking if they received your prior communication. And if there's no response whatsoever from all 3 forms of communication, choose a day later in the week to pursue that individual for a second attempt, and set up a calendar reminder so you don't forget. And then within 48 to 72 hours, you begin your second set of attempts, and you'll be using that same exact sequence as the first time. Leave the message, immediately email, then text later that day. And the repetition is important to demonstrate the professionalism. So, Gary, let's talk about this. You have your own method, which I love. It's face-to-face, it's networking, it's in big events. What is your pattern once you have met somebody face-to-face? How do you go about following up and making sure that you don't forget to follow up and leave too much time on the table between points of contact?
Yeah, well, the 10 touch is absolutely the best way to do it. I mean, if you don't know how to follow up, well, follow the 10 touch. And I think the best in our company, Andrew, and I think you will agree with me, is John Winshuffle. So if you're listening to this message, whether you're in our company or outside of the company, and you want to find out how this really works and who's actually been using this for years, it's John. Feel free to go to our website, look it up, and call John. Say, hey, John, I'm interested in your 10 touch method, and he will talk to you. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. John is a fantastic communicator, and he's been doing this for years, and has built up several companies and made a lot of money just on doing this 10 touch. So I'm speaking out of turn, but I believe Andrew would agree. Call John. And if you haven't talked to John, you probably will, because he will reach out to you eventually if you're in the real estate business and you're a top producer. Be prepared to talk to John, because if you don't call him, he will eventually call you. Um, and it's funny, Andrew, as we were going through this, I was actually following up on my phone as you were talking. I was doing a follow up on a listing that I have not secured yet. And this was like my last touch. And I did find out in the beginning that the sellers love texting. I've met them in person. I've talked to them by email. I've talked to them by phone. I've been in Zoom meetings. And my last touch here is, how are you doing? Do you still need my help on your listing? And it was just a short text to kind of see where they are. Whether I get the listing or not really doesn't matter. I've created a relationship. They know that my follow-up skills, and they will eventually. They've told me if it doesn't work out for the listing, that they're going to need to use me for buying purposes. So there's always agendas behind your follow-up, and just make sure that you're doing it and you're doing it daily.
And that's the key, daily. As you mentioned, John Wenshuffle, the genius behind the 10 touch follow up rhythm method, he has not only created a very easy program and system for people to follow, but he has shown people for literally 35 years of his career how to do it day in, day out with the steadfast determination of never giving up. I am always mesmerized by the fact that he will follow up with people for years, years, not weeks or months, years, and still convert them into a bona fide business transaction. It's truly impressive. And just remember to make sure to allow enough time to go by in between sequences, as that person may be busy and unable to respond. Again, the goal is not to be annoying, but to present yourself professionally, give that person three opportunities in three forms of communication to respond to you. And if you've still not heard anything back after a third series of contacts, then try one final call, email, or text and let the contact go for now. This is a total of 10 points of contact over a 10-day period. If they do respond, and as Gary mentioned, he had a client that prefers text, well, at that point, you don't need to be doing all the other methods because it's clear that's their preferred method of communication. And that's where you have to be flexible. Forget about your preferred method of communication. It's about their preferred method of communication. And when executed properly, you will receive a response way before you get to 10 touches. If it's someone you absolutely must speak with, then do another series of these 10 touches within a few weeks, or try to contact the individual in that person's network that may have referred them to you, just to let them know you're trying to get a hold of somebody. But in most cases, after those three attempts on 3 different days in a short period of time, there is no reason to pursue that individual any further. It's time to move on to people who can communicate properly. Even if they're not interested, they should have the respect to call, text, or email you back and let you know that they're not interested. But sadly, most prospects who have never spoken to you previously, especially cold leads, they will not call you back. They'll just ignore you. People are busy, and they will ignore you unless there is a reason to call you back or there's a pre-existing relationship. So it begs the question, Gary, why does this 10 touch method work so well? Now, I believe the reason is because the approach is respectful, sensitive to the other person's preferences, and spaces out the communication in a way that brings attention to your call without annoying somebody. I know you're constantly solicited. I'm constantly solicited from people around the nation, right? We're in sales, we're in real estate. We get all these blast messages and robo dials, and given the industry that we're in and the public nature of our business, people reach out daily with all types of offers. But I've had some solicitors continue to call me for years, leaving the same exact message repeatedly. And no one wants to hear that robot script off a computer. I mean, when calling people, you have to offer them something of value with a unique selling proposition with a human voice of genuine sincerity. And my concern with AI and all the other things coming is this is just going to get worse and worse and worse because people are trying to get robots to do their jobs. But what are your thoughts, Gary, with the authenticity, the sincerity of when you are leaving messages and the way that you are going about it? And why do you believe that 10 touch follow up rhythm method is so successful?
Yeah, great question, Andrew. And I think you kind of hit it a little bit, talking about AI, and that's kind of what I fear the most is people are letting AI do their work for them, and eventually AI will try and take over. I know Zillow tried it several times. They're trying it again, to basically make it hands free, where you can just go to the computer and type in a property and find your lender and basically do it all yourself. Well, Zillow's tried that in the past. They're trying it again. I think it's going to fail, because people like to talk to people, right? It's not all about always, following a script. It's about finding out what that other person needs, and you want to talk to them in person, and be a real person, not a computer, not a computer script. So sometimes it's not talking about real estate, it's talking about where those people are at. Maybe they've been sick and they haven't been able to get back to you, or they've been too busy. I have one lead that I almost gave up on, and didn't get a response back. It was multi-million dollar lead. And finally, I was able to make an appointment and go show them a property, a beautiful property up in La Jolla. And I've just been trying to make sure that they know that I'm there for them, and I'm a resource. If you're a resource and you offer them something in return, it doesn't have to be real estate. Maybe it's about insurance, and they couldn't find a great insurance person for their current home that they're living in. Then be that resource. Give them something back. It's almost like a gift, right? Instead of them going to Google and trying to find the best plumber, well, you probably already have a good plumber. So it's being a resource for that other person that's on that the other side of that phone. And like I said, if you can meet them in person, you're 90% there, right? So don't always make it about a text or a phone call. If you can meet them for coffee, for a slice of pizza, or whatever it is, then you're going to secure that relationship for years to come.
Agreed. And that's where the unique value proposition comes in play at all times, offering them value. And it's equally important to learn to let go. You have to spend your time focused on individuals who desire to communicate with you and who are good at communicating themselves. Do not chase individuals with poor communication skills who are uninterested or avoiding you. After you've utilized the 10 touch follow up rhythm with a particular prospect with no response, let it go. You can always follow up in the future or pass them on to a colleague if you feel that you're just not the right person to communicate with that prospect. But the bottom line is there are plenty of clients out there. The goal is to focus on customers and clients who are willing to communicate with you. This way, your constant communication efforts can bear fruit with prospects that you can convert into lifelong loyal clients. And this brings us to our paycheck principle number 8, which is know when to follow up and when to let go. So let's talk about our shaping of character. How do we shape our character for this particular rule? And our core value and focus is discipline. Discipline will help you try again. And as you reflect on ways to keep attempting to achieve your results, consider how discipline can help you master this rule. Self-discipline requires a structured schedule. It demands consistency from you. It has no tolerance for you wasting time. It is the nucleus of time management. It's what keeps you focused on tasks. The opposite of self-discipline is chaos and disorder. So when it comes to trying again and again, never giving up until your goal is achieved. There is only one way on the highway to cashing powerful paychecks. It's paved with structure, determination, and discipline. The discipline to stay on task, to block time on your calendar, and to develop a sustainable follow up system. You marry those three disciplines, and you will be able to execute at the highest level in your business. Gary, any final thoughts about discipline and how critical that is when it comes to the follow up?
Yeah, be disciplined with a calendar, whether it's on your phone or whether it's paper, whatever your method is. If you can follow a calendar, can basically set your own schedule, which you have to do as a business person. No one's going to do it for you. You don't have a secretary. So you're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to get up in the morning, get up early. There's always a best time for everybody, whether it's really early in the morning before you feed the dogs or read your Bible, or if it's after. There's a window in there where you feel your best. And I try and always find a time where I can call a good friend or a good client when I know that they're going to be driving in their car, and I can make that first positive phone call, and that will kind of set my day, right? I've always got a couple people that I can talk to. Hey, how you doing? Anything I can help you with today? Anything I can pray with you over, and get your attitude uh, in the positive sense, right? You don't want to start out with your first cold call with somebody that you never talked to before, and get blown out of the water. So try and talk to somebody, and if you can't find somebody to talk to, your wife or your girlfriend, whoever it is, start your day out with a positive outlook, and you'll find out that that will lead your day, uh, and it'll make it a lot easier for you throughout the day.
That's right. And remember, step two is a behavior. Follow up is not a skill, it's a behavior. So let's wrap up taking a look at mastering your BS, mastering your behavior and skills. And let's reference some of the biblical principles. Desire to work hard and eagerly serve God. Choose to keep wise words in your heart and be ready to share them. Decide to speak what is right so God will celebrate. The result is work leads to profit, while just talking brings poverty. The promise is no one will want to hurt you if you are excited to do good. Words of wisdom. Intelligent people are always ready to learn. Their ears are open for knowledge. Now, here's some questions to meditate on this week. Do you give up easily? What stops you from continuing until you reach your desired result? When is it the hardest for you to follow up? How can you change your mindset in relation to following up? Your call to action. Follow up. No procrastination. Enjoy the process and never give up. We hope the message has blessed you. We're going to carry forward. Have a blessed day.